Welcome in, everybody. I know what you're thinking. What are we going to talk about today in Jason's magical light box? Well, this is a definite love affair of mine, not specifically on cameos, but definitely specifically on fire agate. So I wanted to make kind of an intro level video on understanding fire agate and my affection for it, how I got started with it, what I look for, and some basic values. I also want to discuss a differentiation between opal, AMMOLITE, and SPECTROLITE, because sometimes people get those gemstones confused with fire agate. I'd like to welcome you all in and to the new 2,815 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. Thank you so much for trusting me, for loving my channel, and supporting me by hitting that subscribe button. It does help my channel immeasurably, so thank you. I'm giving you all the information I personally can from my perspective. I will tell you this much. Fire agate was one of the first stones that I ever fell in love with, truly fell in love with it. And let's cut to the chase here and just get the basic information out of the way. From memory, I believe that fire agate is in the Chalcedony or Chalcedony, however you want to pronounce it. A lot of people, differentiate with different dialect, and that's okay. But I say Chalcedony. That's the way I pronounce it. I say Chalcedony, and that is appropriate as well. It is a microcrystalline silica, and I believe that encapsulates the varieties of quartz, including jaspers, agates, and some onyx. So let's get into the gemological part of it. You know I don't lecture you on such things because I find that information to be relatively boring. I want to see the end result. I want to talk about the stones themselves and talk about how they were used in jewelry. It is formed in these kind of nodules or kind of bubble-shaped, I don't want to say crystals, but I want to say nodules. So you'll see these kind of bubble-shaped areas in this diamond-encrusted pendant with this massive contour-cut fire agate stone. And it's formed in rhyolite, which I believe is in lava flows. So now that all that information is done and over with, fire agate is frequently found in the southwestern United States, Arizona, California, New Mexico. There are several mines as well. We could talk about Deer Creek. We could talk about Slaughter Mountain. We could talk about many different mines that these stones come for. Not going to get into that as well, just because I just don't have the time today to do that. But I wanted to show you the end result and application in jewelry. Where my love affair started was with this ring. I was in high school, and there was a turquoise gem inset in this ring. Let me get my little pen light out. Let me grab this one and light these stones up for you a little bit more so that you can see some of this really gorgeous coloration. So this was a sterling silver and turquoise ring that I had when I was in high school. And you might say, well, it's not a turquoise anymore. Unfortunately, I had cracked the stone, and the stone fell out. So I kept the mounting, and I wanted a very special fire agate cut for this. So I went to the Crystal Pocket, which was located near Cleveland, Ohio. And the little old man there, Walt, who became a very good friend of mine, it was owned by Walt and Betty. And Walt cut this fire agate for me as I think I was 16 at the time when Walt cut this stone for me and set this in here. And it was amazing because he was offered over $800 for this stone, and the gentleman that offered it wanted to put this in 14 karat gold, and Walt said to him, I'm sorry, I cut this fire agate for this nice young boy, and I'm going to set this in the original silver mounting that he brought in. So there we go. That's what started the love affair. Do you see that light line of purple, lime green, and then that topical orange? Brown matrix, or brown is the base color for fire agate, but look look at those nodules that formed that electric, almost abyss, a rainbow of colors, purple, blue, lime green, and orange in one stone. That's how I got seduced by fire agate. That's what started the love affair for this amazing gemstone. I will leave my light on because we're going to need it in a little while. But the mounting and the stone, how beautifully that came out. And I wore that to high school. I wore that a lot. So that's what started the love affair with fire agate. That ring, now, I wouldn't sell it for any amount of money because that's a very happy memory of my dad taking me there and having Walt construct this stone for me. I wouldn't sell that for any amount of money. It's simply not for sale. No amount of money would make me happy. But I would say if you were to find that out at a show in that mounting, and it is artist signed by the Native American artist that produced this down in there, I would say on that ring, you're probably in the vicinity of, full retail would be $800 to $1,200. That would be full retail. So watch the price of fire agate because it continually goes up. And look at that bezel and the style of this, that border mimics the stone and the stone mimics the border. A very powerful story there, and I love that ring. So thank you for letting me show a happy memory. I'll set that out of the way. Let's clear this out of here. Why I talk about this is this was one of my projects that I made when I was 18 years old, and I always say wire wrapping is a very craft-oriented thing, and it is. I was then trained as a silversmith, so this was kind of more of a craft idea at the time. I had a broken cameo that I had bought at like a thrift or a pawn, 14 karat gold necklace with a little diamond. That was severely broken, and I got it in like a jewelry jar, jewelry bag for inexpensive. That cameo was broken out of a ring, and then I had that raw crystal quartz, and I made this pendant when I was 18 years old. So it shows the forward-thinking process of me as an artist and a craftsperson. And why I show this is I got the wire at the Crystal Pocket back in the day, but I wanted to wire wrap that so that I was able to wear that broken cameo. Shows that I was that I fought to keep old things alive that had been discarded and almost thrown away from time to time. Look how beautiful her face is, and her headpiece and the flowers. Not the world's best cameo, but most certainly gorgeous. So I wanted to fight to keep that, and I made the bail with split, wire, and all sterling silver that I completely hand wire wrapped. And I think for an 18-year-old, I think I did a damn good job. So I look at some of those pieces from back when in my formative years. Then I made these 3 rings. The process is, this is the oldest, second oldest, and the newest that I had constructed. We'll take a look at all my fire agate rings in just a little while. I've shown a couple of these. How did an amethyst wind up on the hand today? That's how I used to wear my fire agate rings. That's the exact order in which I would wear them. Couldn't find the one for my middle finger today, and I couldn't find the other pinky finger. It's somewhere in the safe. So that we'll get to those in a little bit. Getting to these, I made this in college. This was my first or second project, and I'd shown this in videos before. I hand sawed out these ladies in sterling silver, very much so oxidized over the years, and I don't clean my silver. Pierced out the band from the inside. Solder seams were a little tricky because, after all, I was just getting started. Look how thin the metal was back then. I was a little afraid, a little not so ambitious, but to put this together and have the 4 ladies holding up this gorgeous fire agate, we'll light that one up. Notice the yellow and the green, almost a more common color combination, but see the contour cut, and notice that it's out of perfect shape. It's like a bean shape in a way. A lot of fire agate, they don't cut it for calibrated cut stones. They cut it for the fire, and they cut it so that they can, kind of capture that internal fire. Lime green, orange, yellow, gorgeous fire agate stone. That one I think was about 9 carats total on that one, and I loved that ring. Very much so love the ring. I love the style of the mounting, and I also love the stones. This one was the next attempt, and these were pretty good stones. There's purple blue in the center. Notice those nodules again. Like I said, I did crack this one when I set the stones. I did unfortunately crack the little one, but I left it in there. could have replaced it, and I thought, no, I'm leaving it. And I wanted an asymmetrical design, so I didn't put one here because I didn't like having perfect symmetry. I did hand construct these bezels as well. These are completely hand constructed bezels. And then I reticulated the silver band, which is very easy to do, kind of giving it that molten texture. And then I soldered all of those together into that kind of starburst shape. But I loved all of those stones, and that was kind of courageous, shall you say, to create that many stone settings, and very wearable. I usually wear it on this finger right here. Very wearable and beautiful presentation. And you can see why fire agate seduced me. The color, the nodules, that kind of magical push and pull inside of those stones. And then we go into this one, and this was the most recent. I think I did this 10 years ago. I've shown this before. Customarily, this kind of boring brown that is, surrounds the bubbles and the nodules of color. This is customarily cut away from the stone, so it would just be consolidated down to that. I loved seeing that kind of mother stone of that translucent agate that has formed and then allowed those nodules of color to form. This is a very difficult bezel to create. Most silversmiths say to me, "You're nuts." They're like, "You're crazy, we wouldn't do it." But to follow the undulation of the stone and to get it to be wearable and balanced on the finger. Again, here, let me slip this one off and put this one down. I do wear it here. So I wear that one there, and it's very balanced on the finger. I'm all about wearability, although very large. I'm always about the wearability of things and the desirability. That stone was not very much money back in the day. I got very lucky at a gem show because that was more of like a specimen than a finished stone. But look at the reds. When you get into red and that fiery red, cherry red, purple, and blue, those are the three rarest colors. True red, true purple, and true blue are the three rarest colors in fire agate. A lot of times the blue purple is considered the rarest and most desirable. Very close third place would be the red. Look at that volcano one in that one, shaped like a volcano, and then that lava flow of that reddish orange. I get lost in these stones, I really do. So hopefully this has intrigued you enough to consider investing in fire agate. I am going to be selling a little bit of my collection relatively soon, and we'll be selling some of these stones on Bully Run Coffee, so some of these will be for sale. This one is a very large fire agate contour cut. Again, some people say other things about the cutting of that. It is technically called contour cutting. So you're basically following the nodule growth pattern, and it's considered contour cutting because it's contoured to the bubbles of inside those nodules. That's what it's called, and that's what all stone cutters that I'm familiar with is terming that, is contour cutting. Some stones, they get in and they are able to capture every single little bubble. So they'll go in there and they'll make these bubbles so pronounced. I have one in my personal holdings, but unfortunately, it's not in my possession right now. So I couldn't show it today, but just know that I'll be bringing on some more examples because this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is bordered in diamonds. I think it's 2.5 carats of diamonds, diamond bale, and very beautiful. I bought this at the International Gem and Jewelry Show. The thing that the stone is missing is the purples and blues. And the true red, that's more of like an orange, lime green, and yellow. Very beautiful. And you can see why that's sometimes confused with opal. And let me show you that right now. So out on my desk, the three stones that fire agate is sometimes most confused by. And we need to know this because this is important information. Let me turn my light back on. So this is an opal, and this is AMMOLITE. In this panel right here is AMMOLITE, and then this one, labradorite / spectrolite, and this is the largest I've seen. It's 197 carats. 197 carats. I don't like being beat. So jewelry's not a competition, but I wanted to invest in a good one. Long story short, this is opal, and I was offered, people say to me, "Do you know what that opal's worth?" I was offered $2,200 for this, and I refused it. This is purple purple, blue, and pink. And look at the colors inside of this large, large windowed opal. I have always been seduced by this stone, and I will be bringing this back in some sort of unboxing, describing my opal collection and also what I look for in opal specifically. Origin on opals can sometimes be very tricky, even for the most expert in the field of gemology. Some people disagree on origins as well, so I will get into that in further videos, but you can see why sometimes this stone would be confused for fire agate. It is not. This is a genuine opal, and again, that purple, blue, and pink, I could look at that for the rest of my days and be so incredibly happy. And look at the size of this. This is so incredibly large. All right, we'll skip over that one. We'll go into AMMOLITE. So see how that looks very much so fire agate because of the color. Notice there are no nodules. AMMOLITE is part of the ammonite fossil, and that does have great color play of that red, orange, yellow, sometimes goes into the purple and blue family, sometimes it does, but you can see that color scintillation, and that's why people think that that is fire agate. That is not fire agate. However, sometimes in very rare occurrences, let me slip this off and do a side-by-side, sometimes fire agate in a very rare occurrence will have a netted surface that is a secondary color over that bright orangish yellow. Look how that netting goes from a purplish blue and green into like electric lime green. See the netting over that base? This is fire agate. So I show these side by side to show you, look at, there's a slight difference. See the bubble-like forms and that contour cutting of the stone? So there's your side by side comparison. AMMOLITE and fire agate. That is the difference there. Value, we could get into that in a separate video. AMMOLITE's still fairly expensive. You can find fairly large ones for a very reasonable rate. Fire agate, not so much. This would be worth at least 4 times what that is worth, at least. If not more, but gorgeous. And then let's look at this side by side. So you can see SPECTROLITE / labradorite. We can fight over that all day long, and depends on origin and color saturation. Purples and blues running through it. But can you see the difference there? No bubbles and nodules formed here, and the color variance. Let's look purple. Let's compare purple and blue. Let me get this ring off. A little tight today. So purple and blue fire agate, and you know, the purple and blue of SPECTROLITE / labradorite, and look at that. So purple and blue and green, and then see, there's just such a difference. You can't confuse the two when they're side by side, but a lot of people unfortunately do confuse the two. Look at that for 197 carat stone. I'll take it all day long. And even the back is so gorgeous. I loved this stone. I said yes, and that is going to become a ring because you know I love to blend in. So but let's take a look at this ring, and then we'll take a look at some other loose stones. Only 18 minutes in, I feel like I've covered a lot of information so far. I do want to talk about other pieces that I don't have ready for the video today. I do have a squash blossom necklace that has fire agate stones in it. So it's made like a traditional squash blossom, but it has fire agates instead of turquoise or coral or mother of pearl, which would be traditional. I do have a piece coming up in just a few minutes by William, I think it's Will or William Dennett Dale. I think he goes by Will Dennett Dale, a very, very, very famous Navajo silversmith. And I'll bring up a necklace and earrings of his in just a couple minutes. But look at the blue purple. That is some of the rarest color fire agate that you will see. And again, contour cut, so cut down into. Do you notice what I said from earlier, that fire agate doesn't normally come in calibrated cut cabochons? You will infrequently see perfectly round or perfectly oval or perfectly this, or, you know, an 8x10 or a 4x6 millimeter stone. The reason for that is they don't cut it for the shape of the stone. They cut it for the fire and the color play. That's what they cut it for. I've loved this ring for a long time. This has been with me for well over 18 years, and I bought this at a very small gem show on the east side of Cleveland a long time ago. Let's take a quick peek at my rings. Let's clear out the light box, and we'll start with that one again. Let's take a quick look. Look at the netting over the surface of that. So that's how I got seduced by fire agate. That's as simple as it is I loved that. So we'll put this down. And then this one, and I'll slip that one back on. We'll just go by my hands. And I will apologize now because my hands are very dried out from the winter here. And let's light these up. Let's get some light on these. Look at that big cavern that goes so deep into that stone. And that's like a double A grade fire agate. That's not true AAA grade, because see how the color is slightly washed out? The colors aren't so incredibly vibrant. They do turn in daylight. These in daylight, I wish I could do the video in daylight. This in daylight does very much so light up. It looks like, the best fire agate looks like it's light up from the inside. See this top portion that looks like the light is coming from within the stone? That's when you know you're in the presence of greatness with fire agate. And a lot of people at the gem groups know me for this stone because I've been at it for over 30 years. I think the very first one I bought, I was probably, like I said, I was probably 15 or 16. And here I am 50 years later, still enjoying it and still investing. Loved this mounting of this. And I'd shown this in one of my more current videos. But look at that for a fire agate. Again, not AAA grade, but I would say double A grade fire agate in that one. Love that kind of yellow and green. What I'd say is this. If someone were to ask me, how would you invest in fire agate? Well, quite simply this. I would buy a moderately priced one. I would spend maybe, between $30 and $60 on one. I wouldn't buy one for less than that because it's not worth doing. I would save up the $30 or $60. I would buy one and then, maybe have them set, or just wait and buy one for, $60 to $90. It's already set. I think this ring back in the day, this cost me like $60. Now this would be well over $250 because the price is definitely going up. Look at the red in there though. Look, notice that deep red, and then it goes into orange and then yellow and lime green. So volcanic looking. I hope this drives you to really seek these stones out. I'll show you these two. Well, I guess I can leave them on. I like when they pair it with turquoise because you have that really bright fire agate. Love the snake and then turquoise. Really love that one. This carved eye I showed before. So there's an eye design in that purple and blue carved like an eye. Love that style of mounting as well. And then we have this one, which is absolutely gorgeous. Simple, but I loved the mounting and the stone. Notice how this one is a little less colorful. Well, they forced it into a round. They forced the stone to be round, so they didn't cut it for that internal fire. I will regret I will make an apology for the ring light feedback, but I'm trying to light these stones up as best as possible so you can see those internal nodules. Again, rarest colors in fire agate, blue, purple, and red. Let me clear these out, and thank you again for joining in. I hope you have enjoyed this so far, and I hope you've learned a couple things along the way. I haven't said too much about value, but I guess I can get into that now because I love these kind of instructional videos. Let's zoom in as well. Seems like we're a little far away. I mentioned Will Dennett Dale, so we'll bring this into the light box. And then we'll bring in two unset stones. I do have quite a few. And again, I am going to be selling... I will never be able to set every single stone I have in my collection. And we'll do a comparison contrast on these two. I'll bring in a card and then stay tuned because I have a card full and then I have the finest fire agate that I personally own in my collection coming up in just a few moments. So this one is a 6-carat fire agate, and yes, I did spend $100 on this, and the reason why is for 6 carats, this is gem grade. This is AAA grade. Now, supposedly, this either came from Slaughter Mountain or Deer Creek. and it's one or the other. Look at that purple and electric blue. That is, again, I wish I could get in closer on this. Let's see if we can take a loop in on this and see if we can light this up for you. No, the loop isn't going to really do much. Nope, it's not going to do what I thought it was going to do. So I will add that to the blooper reel. Let's see, let's get in there. There we go. Look at those electric blues and purples and lime greens. Let me turn the stone. We want to see through the whole stone. When you turn the stones, we want to see life, effervescent, and beauty through the whole stone. If you turn the stone and you see a little dead spot or a little boring area, probably not the stone that I would go for. Why I chose this one is it's 360 degrees of color play and fabulousness as I drop the stone, and I knew that I would. So it's a little difficult sometimes to navigate a flashlight, the stones, and your hands. So there we go. And I want to come in close. Look at that. Do you see what I'm saying? That color play stays there. And look how luminous that is. So purple, blue, and green. I spent $100 on a 6-carat stone. Price per carat, I know if I go to resell this, this would be at least $350. At least $350. Price per carat, that is up for debate. And the reason for that is everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And when it comes to fire agate, there are a lot of opinions. And I just know basically over the 30 years that I've collected it, what I look for. This is another classic example of an AA grade stone. This is the finest quality fire agate that money can buy. Some people would say I'd want to see more red. Some people will say I want to see more blue. Some people will say I want to see more purple. That's left up to the individual. But have you ever seen a stone that covers that many colors? No. You know, you look at an emerald, always green. You look at a ruby, normally always red. You know? So sometimes you get lucky with a sapphire or a garnet because they'll have many, many different colors. Tourmaline, same way. Tourmaline's got a rainbow of colors, but you don't get it all in one stone. This covers every color of the spectrum. Lime green, yellow, orange, fluorescent kind of purple, fuchsia, blue, and then that deep red flash on that one. This is 4 carats. I spent $100 on this one. I would not sell this for less than $500. And I would get it all day long. Because why? I've sold these for a long time. So that is AAA grade. That's the best fire agate in the world is that stone right there. So look for that color play and that color dispersion. Well, I show you this one, and then I could reach for this one and say, although this is a beautiful vintage ring in sterling silver, see how that's kind of just flat? And I don't want to say boring because it's not boring. In its own right, it's gorgeous in its own right. It does have a lot of lime green, has a lot of orange and yellow, has great flash, and great bubble construction on the inside, those nodules that we talk about. Absolutely gorgeous. I love this end result. It's a gorgeous ring. There's nothing wrong with this. And in the sunlight, this one really lights up. But if you want the full color spectrum, let's do those side by side. So this is like A grade, you know, it's acceptable, it's gorgeous, it's wonderful. Worth, you know, in a mounting like that, worth about $100 to $125. Mounted in sterling silver, right? Then you get into this one and you can see the color difference. And then you just put the light on these two and you can see this one sings, this one yells, this one screams. I am gorgeous and I am important. And I love that stone. All right. So now we've done a little lecture series on like good, better, and best. So we know. And then these two I do want to do side by side because they're both sterling rings. And again, we'll cover it one more time. Purple, blue, and green. Gem grade and highly sought after. This one is still acceptable and gorgeous, and there's no denying that that is a fire agate. It is not an opal. So other people would say, I think that's an opal. Nope, that's a genuine fire agate. Likely Mexican on this one. Likely Mexican fire agate on that one. This one is more Slaughter Mountain or Deer Creek. Blue, purple, deep, eggplant, very velvety purple in this one. And look at the way that stone is just so expertly cut. I loved its kind of out of sort with that bezel, the leaves, and the naturalistic, very Native American in its construction. And why I show this as a segue into the next little segment is this. This I bought at the cancer benefit store out in Medina, Ohio. And everyone, I think it was in a short feed that day that I was there. And anyways, I went in, and this was signed on here. It says signed Dennett Dale. And look at that. What on earth are we looking at besides gem grade, AAA gem grade fire agate? More than likely, again, we're going to go with it since, Arizona, responsible for a lot of things in native jewelry. This is more than likely Deer Creek. Do we know for sure? We don't. If it's not Deer Creek, it's Slaughter Mountain. It was $165 for the earrings and the pendant. And let me look, because there is some information here. So the pendant is 5.7 carats. This is a 5.7 carat, gorgeous red to green fire agate. It goes deep red into fluorescent lime green. Look at the earrings. Look at those tiny little nodules, almost like pinpoints, and so beautifully color matched. Let me swivel this one around. There we go. Look at the lime green and yellow, and such a beautiful set. That rope twist border, signed by Dennett Dale on the back. It's clearly signed Sterling, and then W for Will or William, Dennett Dale. Very well known, very, very, very well known Navajo silversmith. A comp online. So let's think about this online. For a comp on just little tiny Dennett Dale turquoise earrings, they're around $175 in turquoise and sterling. For his pendants, they run between like $445 and $445 to $645 for just a turquoise and sterling silver pendant. Very much so elevated value because of it being fire agate and by Dennett Dale. I didn't find many that used and utilized fire agate. Could this have been a special commission? It absolutely could have been. I think the earrings are actually signed as well. Yes, they are. They are signed Dennett Dale and sterling silver with their little clutch backs as well. But look at those stones. If you don't love fire agate after this video, I can't do anything to help you. If you are not obsessed and absolutely crazy after this, I can't change your mind on it. It's not for everyone, but I find them to be so magical and so beautiful. And I hope the secondary light is really helping out, because these out in sunlight, I gotta tell you, fire agate in sunlight is a remarkable thing to witness. Jeremy absolutely loves my fire agates. He loves them. And he just says how he just loves the color play in them and the color saturation. Now we're down to a card of loose stones. Let me move these out of the way. Let me put this over here. Again, I hope this really has helped. Just remember, the color dispersion is what sets this gem aside from all other gems. The shape of the cabochons, the contour cutting, that carving down into to get the best color dispersion. This one is the opposite of that. Notice how this is it's a little empty. There's not a lot going on. They forced it into an oval-shaped stone. They kind of made it something it didn't want to be. I didn't want to be forced into something I didn't want to be. That's why I quit my last job. So let's light this one up. But see, there's still the internal bubbles, and it's gorgeous. It just doesn't have the color dispersion. I would consider this double A grade. This came across my desk, and I did several lecture series for the gem groups on my fire agate collection, and the oohs and ahs, getting the oohs and ahs from people in the gem world was always amazing to me. And I would show them stones, and they'd be, oh, like, look how thin that is, and look at that depth of bubbles that goes on forever, way back in that stone that's so shallow. How does that do that? It's almost total magic. Mother Nature, again, on some of her finest days. And these stones are very old. The formation, you can do your research on that. There's a great debate on how old fire agates are. Now, hold on to your seat, because this isn't going to be easy to take in. What are we looking at? So this whole card was sold to me at a pawn shop. years ago, and they were priced per stone, and I blocked that out for a reason. They were priced per stone, and I said, how much is the whole card? So they sold me the whole card, and as you can see, I sold one. I sold one off the card. I'm not going to make any comment on the size of the stone or what I sold it for. That's not important in this video, but what is important now is that all of these are the most beautiful examples of fire agate that I can show you. They go from reds to blue purples to lime greens and oranges. Again, you have to study these stones up close. So I'm going to go quiet for a little bit. I'll light them up and we'll go stone by stone really quick and show you why. Show you why I chose every single one of them and left none behind. Oh, boy. And I wish you could see these in real life. Look at the red in that one. The red purple. Look at this one. We want to talk about special. Doesn't that look like alien skin? Doesn't that look exactly like what an alien's skin would look like? The color dispersion in these stones, and they don't even really need a flashlight on them to do what they're supposed to do. And when we turn them, I've often said, turn them. Make sure they hold up. Look, they hold up. They hold up. You don't need to worry about it. Look at this one. Look how small. But look at the positive feedback of the brightest blue, cobalt blue, electric purple, and lime green. I can't pick a favorite. That's all I'll say. I can't pick a favorite. And I was offered, well, I don't want to ruin the beauty of the card by what I was offered for the card. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to be selling some of these. So I will never use all of them. And they need to be out in the world and they need to be appreciated. So I will be liquidating some of these as well. Look at that one. Oh, and this one. Oh, that could be a personal favorite. So moody, but so electric, and viewed 360 again. So gorgeous in color dispersion. There isn't a single one that I don't love. That's what I'll say. Let's go stone by stone. Let's not leave one out. Oh my. My. Oh, yes. Yes. I hope I'm close enough to the camera today as well. Hope you're taking this all in. I know it's going to happen. Some fire agate experts out there in the world are going to be reaching out and saying, where have you been hiding? I've been hiding under a fire agate rock. I've been hiding under a rock shaped like a fire agate. If you would see fire agate in the rough, some of these have a lot of fingerprints. Let's wipe them off. If you would see fire agate in the rough, you'd probably just walk by it on the ground. You'd probably say, oh, that's an interesting looking stone. Look, yeah, this is a keep. This is a keep right here. Boom, done. That's a keep. That's a Jason keep. That's going nowhere. That is going nowhere. And I'm entitled to that because after, yeah, that's a keep. Up, done. Top gem grade, AAA, best in the world, finest in the world. And I'm not saying that because I own it. I'm saying because it's truthful. That's the top gem grade in the world. Unbelievable on some of these. I got very lucky on this card. And when I walked in, look how old the card is, how yellowed and how worn out it is. So you know it's been around for a long time. Oh, and I did want to touch on the recentness of fire agate. I'm sure fire agate was discovered much before the 60s and 70s, but it's a newly mined, phenomenon. Basically, we didn't see it much before. We didn't see it much before the 1950s. I wouldn't think. And some people can disagree with that all day long, and that's fine. And then I always tell people, go ahead and try and correct me. Go ahead and try and correct me on my channel and see how far you get. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Look at that, but I'm learning something new every day. And someone had said to me, well, you do realize that it wasn't really, it hasn't really been mined that much, post 40 years ago, pre 40 years ago, I should say, pre 40 years ago, like putting it into the, the height of finding and mining and cutting and polishing was late 60s. Like I said, it was found before that. Most certainly still used in jewelry slightly before that, but I don't even know if they were calling it fire agate before then. I don't know. I don't know for sure. What was it being called before it was called fire agate? I most certainly know it wasn't like 20s, 30s. I know that much. You might find the occasional piece from then. Look at that one. Let's end on a high note. Yeah, let's end on 2 high notes. incredible, incredible color saturation. And as you move the card, like I said, I don't even really need the light on it. So the fire agates that you don't have to light up, those are the ones that I would go for, the ones that have that internal light bulb on. Unfortunately, my light box is very dark today. 40 minutes in, and I still don't feel like I gave enough information on the formation of the stone. But I don't want to be boring. I want to show you the end result, like I said, as I fidget with this card, because I don't want to put it down. I don't want to put this one down. So we'll leave that there for a minute. And look, I mean, from across the room, look at the color saturation of those stones. And that's in a very poorly lit light box. Incredible. All right, the grand finale for today, I will remove this. The grand finale for today is going to be this one. And this is known as Candy's Ring. I've always called this Candy's Ring. I always will. This is Candy's Ring. And this is one of my favorite stones based on shape, color, saturation, and the patterning inside of the stone. Now, something that early collectors in fire agate were calling the purple and blue and green ones was peacock fire agate. That was a term that was loosely used by the early collectors of fire agate. This one was called peacock fire agate. I bought this from my friend Candy at Den of Antiquities. I had to save up a lot of money. I was a young child back then. I had to save up for a long time. I'd seen the ring over and over and over again. And I kept nudging my mom like, hey, can I borrow the money? Can I borrow the money? And she's like, nope, you cannot borrow the money, but you can earn it. So I told Candy eventually someday I'd love to own that. And she made sure it happened. Candy had a great affection for me, and this ring means a great deal. It showed that I was treated with kindness, and I learned from her to treat others with kindness throughout my years in business, and to make sure that people that wanted something were able to afford it, even if you didn't make great profits. As long as you made someone happy, that's what jewelry is supposed to do. 14 karat gold, RNC. Never figured out the artist on this, but completely custom made, very thick 14 karat gold construction, very, very thick. Gorgeous mounting. I don't wear yellow gold, but it was the stone that did it for me. I'll light this up, and when I do, boy, oh boy, you're going to really fall in love with fire agate. Look at what happens when I just barely get the light by it. I'll just say that I love this. I love the stone, I love the mounting, I love this ring, and that's as best as you can get with fire agate. Of course, some people would say, I'd love to see red in there. Well, I would too, but guess what? I'll take the purple and blue and lime green as a peacock plume in that corner right there. It is thought that this is Deer Creek, but again, not certified as Deer Creek, and absolutely beautiful color saturation. Let's go in on there, and I hope that cavern of light and goodness and beauty encourages you to do some more research on fire agate as a gemstone, and quite possibly, like I said, just save up a little bit of money, and buy the step ahead of where you think you want to be. Wear that, enjoy that, see how it feels. Does fire agate help you? Does it empower you? Does it bring you a sense of joy when you see it in the sunlight? Does it make you happy? Does it start a conversation with a stranger? As long as it does those things and makes you happy and makes you feel protected and healthier or enlightened or more positive in your life, then save up and buy a better one. Start at the entry level and build a collection. Mine took me 30 years. It took me 30 years to collect this amazing stone that I find to be magical, refreshing, and absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope you learned something. I hope you're inspired. I guess that's where I leave it. I know that you can do a whole bunch more research on your own. I know that you're smart enough to go out and find a good one now. I feel very confident in that. And I am going to be selling, a few here and there at the sales, maybe list a couple on my eBay store, get some, sold local. I don't need this many at all. And I love the variance in colors. Like, I loved the variance. And I always say you only need one of something. But when they come in such beautiful mountings and they come with such difference in colors, I mean, look at the styles. I need to find my other one and put my other one back on. Where did my baby go? Here it is. So there we go. Now I feel better. Now I feel better that I have them on. So again, look for a great one. Turn the stone. Look through the depth of the stone. I trust your judgment, but look at that. So I leave you with that beautiful day of Mother Nature. Have an excellent rest of your day. Watch out for tomorrow's video. It's going to be a great one. I love you because I do.